Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are going to check out an incredibly awesome app. It's a third-party payware application that I think is going to bring a lot of really good functionality to the simulator and to you as the pilots, especially if you're someone who truly enjoys VFR flight. So stick around because I think you're going to like this one a lot. Alright, so once you get it installed, you're going to launch the application. You'll be presented with a window that looks like this. Now, he's already got an example category and example flight plans. Now, he's got a couple of example flight plans. Let's take a look at this first one here. And let's take a look at some of the information that is brought to us here. First, we have the first waypoint or starting location, Big and Hill. Okay, and notice that all the waypoints are delimited by a plus sign. Okay, so we're keeping that format. But we're taking off to Kenley, or we're going to depart and turn right, follow 253. The first waypoint is going to be Kenley Airfield. We're going to be on a heading of 253 at 1,500 feet, and estimated time of arrival is 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Okay, and you can see how it steps down, coming down. Ups and downs, heading 277, 1,500 feet, 6 minutes, 2 seconds. Okay, so really simple way to do this, but what's really awesome about this is that this will all be published later, and we're going to do our own here in a minute, and I'm going to show you guys how to set a lot of this stuff up. So let's start there, because I think that's where you're going to get the most information from actually seeing it in action. Alright, the sound of my G36 got messed up, so I had to restart here. Anyway, so now let's go ahead and see this bad boy in action. So I need to relaunch it for a second. Okay, so now that we have this come up, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a category for our flights. All right, this is just a container of all the different flights you want. So for example, the first one I'm going to do is US West Coast VFR. Okay, and then now we need to add a flight plan to this container. Now this part is actually really cool. Okay, this gives us a lot of option here. So the first thing that you have here is a prefix number. If you were creating a bush trip, and for those of you who don't understand what a bush trip may be, it's just a sequence of flights. So for example, if I were to do a bush trip of the West Coast US, and I were to do it starting from home here, okay, it would be probably KTUS, Tucson International in Arizona, over to probably Phoenix, right? And actually that's a pretty short flight, but for example purposes it works. So it would be KTUS to KPHX to Phoenix here, right? And that would be number 1. Then I would go Phoenix to maybe Blythe, California. That would be number 2. And then from Blythe here over to, I don't know, LA. That's a good hop. That would be number 3. And as you create these, it will actually put it in a sequence for you. And you would categorize this, like we would title this US West Coast, well actually we could probably leave it VFR, or VFR circuit or something to that effect, right? Maybe work our way back down the other side. But anyway, it'll actually put them in order for you, so that way, based on what leg you're on, you simply select the leg number and off you go. And then I'll have all that flight plan information included in there. So pretty awesome. Then you have the import here. You have import flight file. This can come directly from FS 2020. If you created a flight plan in there and you wanted to import it, you could. Plan file. This is most commonly used from SimBrief. You'll see the PLN file. And then this is something I've never seen any other piece of software do. And that is import the FPL file or flight plan file directly from SkyVector. Now SkyVector, and I have not tried this one. I don't even know how to do it yet because I've never had the option to, that I'm aware of from any other simulator, to import a flight plan from SkyVector, which is huge because, and we're going to take a look at SkyVector here in a minute. This will take you to the SkyVector website. I'm not going to do that yet, and I'm going to show you why in a minute, so just bear with me. But that's all this does. If you click that, it'll open up your browser and launch SkyVector. And SkyVector at their home page. So let's just go ahead and hit OK from now. Oops, sorry. Let's hit cancel. My bad. And now let's add our flight plan again. I actually just needed to go back to the previous page instead of cancel. And we are at KHIO We're at Portland Hillsboro. And we're going to be coming back to Portland Hillsboro. We're just doing a circuit. Okay. Quick VFR trip around the area, doing some sightseeing, you know, taking the in-laws on a flight, right? It's always giving you brownie points. And we're going to hit OK. And now we have a bunch of information that populates. First, we have our departure information. As you look at the departure information, it gives you all the information currently available that it could pull from Hillsboro here in Portland. So, I mean, you have all the runway information. You have the, you know, whether it's lights, what kind of surface it is, your dimensions, etc. I'll let you guys just sort of peruse through it. You guys don't need me, but it's even got the GPS IC or the ICAO code. I need to remove that because that was from a previous attempt. I want to show you guys from scratch so you guys didn't see that. So it brings up that. Then you have your flight plan, and it gives you an example. We're going to be taking a look at this a little bit later. I don't know that we're actually going to get some flying done today because this is going to be probably a pretty long video, FYI. So stay with me. And then we have the arrival. Now, if we were going to a different location, you would have all that same information. Gosh, go away. Anyway, and you have A zeros, okay, in the identifier. And if you notice, you have D over here for departure, and then F for flight plan. So that's kind of cool, the way it breaks it all out. So now, this is all great, okay? You have a departure chart, you have your arrival page, you have a flight plan page, but you got to populate all this, right? So let's take a look at the things that we're going to have to do here. Now, I want to throw a scenario out to you guys that where we're at right now. I've never flown up here before. I know nothing about this area. I don't know where any VFR landmarks are that we need in order to do our visual reference flight. You know, all this information I don't know. I mean, this is great that it pulled up all the airport information. I mean, I think it even pulls up the comms. Yep, there's the tower right there, 119er. You got your ADDON, etc. So great, that's cool. But what about the actual flight itself? I don't know what I'm doing, right? I don't know where anything is. So we're going to have to go to Bing Maps and, you know, or some sort of Google Maps, something like that, whatever, and find some visual references that we can use from the sky. We're going to have to pull up an aeronautical chart, right, to determine what our altitude restrictions are, airspaces, things like that, if the specific locations we're trying to avoid, you know, any altitude obstacles, mountains, hills, lights, towers, etc. Okay, so this is a lot of information. And then we have to go out and get our own screenshots, right? Well, not so much. So check this out. This is probably the coolest part about this. All I have to do is come up here and hit search and watch what happens. And I need to close these because you can see I did this before. Like I said, I had to restart the sim because my airplane is starting to sound like crap. So let's close the stupid ads. Okay, gotta love ads, right? So first, if we zoom down here, look where it takes us. There is Hillsboro, Portland. Okay, so there's our airport, and we're sitting right here. Okay, so that's the first cool part. And we're going to come back to this in just a second. Next thing is we come over to the previous page here, and we have SkyVector. SkyVector has all your chart information, ADDON information. Remember, this can be SkyVector can actually be used for real world traffic, which is actually a disclaimer that you want to be careful of. Don't ever file your flight plan on SkyVector. You can actually get in trouble for it. So if you want to avoid that, just don't create an account. Anyway, then up here on the left, we have the aeronautical chart, right? And then we have the airport diagram. Now, the aeronautical chart we're going to get to in just a minute, so hold off on that. But let's take a look at the aeronautical diagram first, right? Or the airport diagram. Let's just load that image up. I want to show you something really cool here. Now, this is really handy that this pulls this up for you, right? You can see, you know, based on where we're at. So our aircraft, we know we're sitting right here. And if we were in a parking spot, you know, we could taxi out, reference this chart, have it at the available. But let's say you're someone who's new to this, and you're someone who's not comfortable reading these charts, looking at these charts, or maybe you're a little confused about maybe where your aircraft is. This is a very small airport, therefore a very easy chart to read. Pull up one of these charts for like Chicago O'Hare or, you know, JFK, and this thing's going to look a heck of a lot more confusing, or Atlanta, right? So you've all seen videos on YouTube of, you know, people using Navigraph charts like myself with the moving maps and all that great stuff, or, you know, having the charts available, you know, with inside the sim. That's the first part I'm going to show you. Let's start with the airport diagram, and we're going to take this image and we're going to put it into the simulator, not into a third-party app. We're going to put it directly into the sim where we don't need anything else open. And this, again, for you VFR or VR users, this is where this is going to shine. Okay, so we're going to minimize this for a second. Now, our next step brings us to this button here that says grab. I want to pause for a second here on this and let you guys know, previously, and I'll have a link to it again in the description below, I showed you guys a screenshot program called Greenshot. You can get it from greenshot.org. It's completely free. It is a very, very powerful screen capture software that allows you to add text, things like that. If you guys have ever seen any of my tutorial guides, my PDF guides, I use Greenshot for all of those. It allows you to add arrows, draw lines, boxes, etc. But let's say you don't want to grab any of that, okay? We'll come back to Greenshot in just a minute. If we wanted to hit grab, okay, it's going to pull up a window that looks like this. Now, I'm going to hit escape for a second because I want to pull our chart back up on the window. Let me bring this back up. And I'm going to click back on the SimEFB manager. Now I'm going to hit grab, and it brings up a window that looks like this. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to just sort of pull it up over the chart like this, and then we can mouse to the edges, expand it. All right? And I want to make a chart just that I can see, you know, the taxi information. I'm not interested in that. And you guys are welcome to do whatever you want. You know, this is just for demonstration purposes. It's not that you shouldn't pay attention to the other info on that. It's absolutely not true. It's just for demo purposes. So I'm just grabbing what I'm looking for here today. So I'm going to hit enter, and now I can title it. So I'm going to call this KHIO taxi info, you know, information, info, whatever you want to call it. All right. And now, boom, it pulls it up here. Now, this is really cool because at this point here, we can take this chart. You can see it titled it Departure 01 KHI Taxi Info. And now at this point, what we can do is we can publish it to FS 2020. And we're going to get into what that means in a second. So what this is going to do is actually going to take this image and put it into the application, into the windows that are actually on the EFB or on the application toolbar within inside MSFS. Okay, now we have two FS 2020. This is going to be for you monitor users. To FS 2020 for VR, self-explanatory. If you're using VR, this is the one you're going to want to use. And then to an external panel. All right, if you just wanted to have it on a second monitor, okay, something like that. You also have the option for Android and tablet. I'm not going to be showing that today, but if you guys remember in the beginning of the video, I showed you guys that documentation page that he has on his website. This is included. He talks about how to set this up. Okay, so again, fantastic documentation. That alone is worth the money. But let's go to FS 2020 is what we're interested in. So we've published it. I'm going to pull it off screen for a second. Let's go back into the sim. And first thing I'm going to do is click on EFB1. Now, if you run into this particular issue, this is sort of misleading. I am going to contact the developer and let him know about this. But if it says run EFB manager program, then press the hidden button under the S of SimEFB1 in the panel title bar. This is the panel title bar. Now, if we put our mouse under the S, nothing happens. So this is where this is a little confusing, but if you put it above it, this is what he's talking about. It's just a refresh button. Click the refresh, ta-da! And check out what we have. We have our airport information, and I know this might be a little hard to read, guys. Forgive me. I run in 4K. I think we can zoom this in a little bit. Oh yeah, there we go. I can expand it. Ah, perfect. So there we go. We can expand it a bit. I can expand the window out a little bit more for you guys here. Now, some of this looks like is getting cut off. Oh, let's see here. If I close it and reopen it, there we go. So if it gets cut off like that, just close the tab, reopen it. So all the same information that we saw here, if you guys see this, you can see the relationship. Notice that the plus sign creates a delimitation. So let's pay attention to KHIO Portland Hillsborough Airport. That way you guys know how to set yours up if you want to break things down into its own tab. Okay, look at the titles here and reference everything after the plus. And you'll see a corresponding tab here. If we take the tab out, it's just going to add it onto the previous line here. Okay, so that's the first cool part. Excuse me. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to see that chart we just created. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to move over to SimEFB2. Okay, and the same thing. Okay, if it does this, just come up here, hit a refresh. All right. So now what do we have? We have world map. Now this is where this gets really cool. All right, so stay with me. World map first brings us to this. This is a just a third-party source, open source that he's using to create a world map and identify a moving map. This is actually where our aircraft is. Remember I told you we're at 3-1 left. Okay, now you can toggle that off where we don't follow the aircraft pin, but obviously that I like it when it follows it. Here we can turn the aeronautical chart that we saw previously on and off. So we can turn that on, populates all of that. You can zoom in on it if you need to read something more specifically. Now remember, we're unpinned, or we're pinned, so now I can move it and zoom down. Oh, I think I zoomed down too far. There we go. So it looks like it's sort of doubling up. That one might have an issue. So that's something, again, that, you know, I'll have the developer watch this part and so you can see what we're seeing here. But anyway, you still get a ton of information. Much of it is very easily read. There it goes. It's scaled down. So there we go. No worries there. All right, so we can turn that off. It's pinned back on the aircraft here. Boom. We can obviously zoom in and out with the plus and minus sign. Here we can change the type of view. Here's a street view. Terrain. Okay, very handy here. We can leave it on that for now. And then if we want, we can go back to the home page. Moving map, same thing. Basically everything that we were just looking at. So just go back. And then now, if we want to see the chart that we created, and click on that, there's our chart. Now, let's take this chart, though, and do something a bit cooler with this. What if you want, I mean, if we wanted to make this a moving map, like this one here. Now, this is really handy. I mean, you can zoom down in and really see your taxiway and everything like that. That's a little bit too far, but it doesn't identify them, right? You'd have to go back and forth between the two pages. So let's see if we can turn this one into a moving map. Let's see if how that works. So coming back over here, we're going to now take a look at our chart once again. And we're going to hit define as moving VFR map or chart. All right, it takes us to this page here. Now at this point, we can go to actual size. We can go to fit to screen. Okay, and then we need to set known points. Take a look at the box that's popped there. Okay, we can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out as we need to. So here's our known points. We need to set 2 of them, and I'm going to show you how this works. You're going to hit set, and we're just going to pick some known points here, whether it be from the aerodrome, nearby airports, etc. Okay, and we'll get into where some of these other ones come in handy. But for what we're doing here, this part's really simple and really awesome. We know we're on runway 31 left. We know the aircraft's sitting right there, right? So we're going to take that. We're going to highlight 31 left. We're going to zoom down. And I'm just going to put it right here where Alpha 9 meets it. Right in the center. Boom. Right? Now look what it does. It comes automatically and says, place the target on runway 13 right. So it wants the opposite end. Oops. And I clicked that way in the wrong position. So all we need to do is pick this guy up. And we're going to do the same thing. Put it right about in the center, right about Alpha 1. Okay? Boom. And then it has 3 other locations that it places to identify the airport, but I have not found an issue where I've had to move these myself yet. That's not to say you don't, but here's what's really cool about this. Now we're going to hit finished. Okay? Notice it puts this little M in parentheses next to it. That means it is defined now as a moving map. All right? And so next, we're going to go back to our publish again. We're going to hit FS 2020 again. We're going to come back in here. We're going to load EFB2 again. And we're going to refresh it because notice it shows our chart. Oh, actually, it looks like it already did. So let's click on that. And there's our airplane. And if we go to the external view, boop, boop, and we zoom in here, you can see it's ever so very, very slightly off. So there is Alpha 8. This is showing us we should be, you know, center fuselage right about in line the center with it. But, I mean, guys, Navigraph Charts does the same thing. That's nothing. We're talking about a matter of feet. This will absolutely get you anywhere you want to go, and we've just created our own moving map. And so you can use this for your taxi reference. If we were parked, let's say we were parked over here, well, actually probably over here, or back in here, we'd see our aircraft. And we can now use this as a moving map to taxi around absolutely free. I want to give you guys some context here real quick, you know, because I know that a lot of people are going to look at $34.95 or whatever it is, and they're going to be like, wow, that's too expensive. I want you guys to understand that for those of you who are using, like, for example, Navigraph Charts, and everything that you see in Navigraph Charts, all the aeronautical charts, the departure plates, the taxi info that we're seeing here, the stars, the SIDS, all those plates, that's public information. You can find them online. Okay, you can just Google whichever one you're looking for. Like, for example, just to show you guys what I'm referring to, I can pull up my browser here for a second, and I can go to Google, and one of the ones that I'm very familiar with is the Hollywood 1 star into KLAX. Okay, there it is on Google. Okay, there's the chart. This is the same thing I see in Navigraph. Okay, it just Navigraph looks prettier. That's it. But I could grab this and do the exact same thing with it, create a moving map, and there's no issues there. So there's a lot of functionality here, and we're going to show off a bit more of this when we start getting into the flight plan page. Okay, but yeah, you have a moving map now. So with that in mind, now that we have a moving taxi map, we can now taxi around the airport freely and be able to pull this up. And you can still click this off. Like if I want to take this map right here, or this window, I can still drag it off my screen if I want, and it's still working. Okay, just like we can do with any of the other toolbar windows, right? So, and then if I want, I just close it, puts it back into the sim, and then if I'm done with it, I just close. And what's nice about the way that it's using that, guys, is that it's going to minimize computer resources, and it's going to minimize third-party integration lag or latency that you may see with some of the other softwares. Even Navigraph charts, I find when I'm using the Navigraph app, it is much faster than using the in-game toolbar integration. But even Navigraph charts, I find it's few seconds behind on the taxi. When I'm taxiing, if I don't really pay attention to it, if I wait for my aircraft to be at the correct location, Navigraph charts, like for example, if I wait till I'm watching my chart and I wait till it's here, okay, to turn on a Bravo, chances are in the sim, I'm actually past it. So the fact that this is actually a little bit ahead is honestly a good thing. So anyway, I digress there. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to use all of this now to create a flight plan and the steps that I like to do when doing this. All right, so getting into creating a flight plan. First thing I've done here right off the bat is I just scrapped everything that was up on the top of this. I wanted to create a section, okay? So I wanted to create the first link here says KHIO, right? I want to create something like that for my flight plan. This is the flight plan information. So this first section here, we're just going to put in our departure information, right? What we need to do following departure. So to do that, what I'm going to be using now is the SkyVector charts. So we're going to come up to SkyVector. And let me delete this and start again. Delete. All right. So coming from KHIO, I put this in here. Type KHIO after hitting new flight plan if you need to. So if for any reason this isn't here, you're going to go flight plan. Type in your departure ICAO. Hit enter. It'll automatically put this little plus guy. See that guy moving around? Right over our airport is where it'll automatically push it. And then now from here, we can start finding some VFR guidance here. So let's see what we've got. So let's have us come back over here, Henry Lag Lake, okay, or Henry Hag Lake. That's going to be a big one. So we're going to depart, and 1820 is our altitude restriction here, you know, above clear obstacles. So we're going to call it 2,500 feet right on the first. So we're just going to add that to our plan. All right, now that's going to be quite the departure here. So that's coming directly from the center of the runway. So the other thing that you could do is you could either call it a distance shortly afterwards. It's totally up to you guys. But the nice thing about a big lake like that is even if we go right after departure and make our heading, we're going to still see this. Okay, so let's go. We're going to call it. We're going to depart, and we're going to, well, let's just call it departure. Turn left, and we're going to make our heading 253 degrees. If you guys want to add the degree sign, hold your Alt key, type 248. And once you let go of Alt, you'll get the degree sign there. All right, so that's our first section. That's our first instruction. Turn left 253 degrees. Now let's call our first waypoint out. Our first waypoint is going to be Henry Hag Lake. And let's draw some distance here. So we have, again, our heading is 253 degrees. Okay. Our altitude, we're going to be pushing for 2,500 feet. And our distance of travel is currently at 12 nautical miles. And you can put NM if you want, however you want to do it. Okay. And then from there, we can add what we're looking for. It looks like there's a power plant over here. And so let's do this. Watch. From here, let's move on over to Bing Maps. And let's go find Henry Hagg Lake. This should be it right here. Okay? And so there's Henry Hagg Lake. There's a power plant that's nearby. And if you see that, you can see that on the VFR chart. There's a power plant right there. So we can come over to Bing Maps. Well, let's say we wanted to add this. Let's add this to our screenshots. That's pretty handy. Now here's, I'm going to show you guys the screenshot program that I use. Okay? So this is going to be for flight plan 1. I'm going to move this off. And instead of hitting the grab button, as you see here, okay, we're going to be using the paste this time because I'm going to be using GreenShot. Again, link down in the description below, but I want to show you guys what it does. I'm going to hit my print screen button, and it brings up this little target cursor. You guys should be able to see that, I think. But it brings up a window. I'm copying it, brings up this menu, and I'm going to open an image editor. And now, here's where this gets kind of cool. We can do a text field. And we can do Henry Hagg Lake. Anyone who has seen my PDF document should absolutely recognize this by now. And then here, we can do power plant. And I'll show you how to shape this up nicely in just a second. Once you get your identifiers, you can put your... Click on the arrow up here, click on your box, and you can shape them down as you wish. You can increase the font, you can do all kinds of stuff with the backdrops and everything here. So it's not a... I don't want to make it a tutorial of GreenShot, but really handy. If you want to put an arrow, we can put an arrow here for the power plant. Boom. Right? And then now, what we're going to do is I'm going to hit copy to clipboard. Okay? Then I come back to our SimEFB manager, and I'm going to hit paste. And I'm going to call this Henry Hagg Waypoint 1. Okay? And we can hit OK. And again, I'm going to publish. Go to FS 2020. And let's come on back to the sim. We can close my image editor now. I'm going to drag this out. And let's see what we got from EFB1. So, Henry Hagg Lake, 253 degrees. Let's refresh it. Click. Why did none of my information that goes below it populate? Oh, because I didn't put anything there. That was smart. Alright, so I'm retarded. So let's do power plant at south end of the lake. Okay, that's going to be our visual point reference. And again, publish to FS 2020. Come back. It looks like it just updated. Power plant, south end of the lake. Now let's take a look at that image that we wanted to see. Open SimEFB2. Maps charts, Henry Hagg, Waypoint 1. And this is what we're looking for. And we can zoom this out. We can move it around. So it gives you some things of what you guys want to see. Now this is just gets too cool. Now you guys obviously get the gist of how this would continue on, hopefully. You know, if you would do the same for your next waypoints. Now let me show you how we can make a large moving map to get a general idea of where the aircraft is at all times. So we're going to create one more moving map of the entire flight route. Alright, so coming back to our flight route planning. Now we're going to come here and let's finish drawing out the rest of our route. And some of this is going to get a little tricky, right? But let's just see what we got here. So we know that we're starting here. Let's find some known points here. But here's Newburgh, or let's see, we're at Chelham, Yam Hill. So that'd be a good VFR reference, another airport. So I'm going to right click here, hit paste. And this just for example, you may not actually create a flight plan like this in the real world. Here's Aurora State. So again, let's do another circuit plan here. And then back to home. Boom. Okay, and it even populates it up here. And now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to get my screenshot again. And I'm going to take a little bit of a larger area here. Okay, I kind of want a big square. Okay, so hit print screen. Now this time, I'm just going to go copy to clipboard. I'm going to show you why. Just go copy to clipboard. Come back to our flight plan page. Go to flight plan 2. I'm going to hit paste. And we're just going to call this moving chart. However you want to do it, right? And hit OK. Now, just as we did before, we need to define it as a moving map. So let's do that. Because you guys obviously know how the chart works. You know that we can see it. Now let's define it as a moving map. This is where it gets a little tricky. So we're going to set known points. So let's see what we've got nearby. KHIO Airport. Okay, we obviously know where that is, right? So we're going to drop a point here. Okay, now we need to set a second known point. So we're going to hit that. And let's see what we can find. We obviously don't want to use the same runway, right? We need to find something different. So, Sunset Airstrip, do we know where that is? What's this one here? Or McMinnville? What about that? Is that one on there? I'm just reading through the list of all this right now. Skyport. There's Portland International. Oh, Skyport. There's Skyport right there. Look at it. Look. So, now it's kind of cut off. So maybe we can find, what about this one? Winston. Is that one on there? Let's try other airport. Look at that. How handy is that? Now, does this have all of them that are in the area, or is this a little bit of everything? All right, so let's see. What is the ICAO here? It looks like KMMV. There it is. Minville. And hit OK. And boom! Look at that. Done. So now we're going to hit Finished. We're going to hit Publish. We're going to publish it all to FS 2020. Come back in here. Go to SimEFB 2. Refresh it. Probably didn't have to, but I like to. And let's see what we've got here. This should be this one here, I think. Yep. Now, let's go ahead and back that out. Let's get airborne. All right, guys. So took a quick clip out there to sort of save some time for you guys. But as you can see, here we are in action. We should be approaching Henry Hagg Lake. Henry Hagg Lake is right down in here. Remember, if we zoom in, which is so nice. Look how much. By the way, you can't zoom in this close when you're using the actual sky vector. So this is extremely handy that you can do this. That's the nice thing about screenshots too, is you can zoom in as close as you want. But anyway, so if we look to the left, we should see Henry Hagg Lake almost right off our left wing now. So drum roll, there it is. And so from here, we should be making a left turn, nice. Making a left turn to 143 degrees. And let's see how our image reference did. So the shape is all correct. And there's our power plant. Let's actually straighten her out a bit. That way we can come over the power plant and get a better view. So if we compare our imagery here, there's what we should see. Notice the lake shape. There's the power plant. So I really hope you guys have seen the value in this amazing piece of software. It is absolutely, in my opinion, worth the price. And you guys, anyone who's been watching my channel for an extended period of time, I have no problem shooting anybody down. And not, that sounded so bad. I have no problem telling you guys that I don't believe something's worth the price. Okay. There's been a couple things where I've said, hey, this is a good product, but not worth the price. This I think is absolutely worth the price. I think this is the best flight simulation planning tool I have seen come to flight simulation. This is, I mean, gosh, I mean, you could use this in real world if you could track it, but you have your 4 flights and apps and things like that do exactly this. Okay. But this does so much more because you can customize every part of your image. Anything that you're looking at, you're able to customize it. And if you can put a known location onto it, you can make it a moving map so you know when you're there. The ability to break down the flight plan information, simply putting that plus sign and creating an entirely new section. Right. So, for example, power plant at the south end of the lake, we were able to put that information there, and sure as heck, we were able to see it. And again, so this allows me to complete a VFR flight in a place that I've never flown before. So anyways, I can go on and on about this. I'm super excited about this. I'm super grateful for the opportunity to be able to review this product. Definitely 2 thumbs up from Overkill on this one. And I hope you guys, heed my advice on this one if you're able to, and give this app a try, because I think you're really going to like it. I'm thoroughly impressed. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below if you guys choose to grab this one. And as always, folks, I'll see you in the next one.